And I think this country suffers from terrible ageism. You know, in other countries around the world, they revere their elders because of the wisdom that comes with the age. And there's nothing to indicate that there's anything wrong with Joe Biden up here.
So Sonny Holstein over at The View thinks that we are rejecting the sage wisdom of an elder statesman. Yeah, I don't think that's quite it.
Sell crazy someplace else. We're all stocked up here.
Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth.
Hey, this is Pastor Marty, and you're watching The Afternoon Drive, where I rant and rave about pop culture and politics. Make sure you're a subscriber to the channel, and then smack the bell, click the word all to get notification of all of my rants. And please, share this video, like this video. That's the only way we can get the algorithm up, because we know YouTube is not going to do its part in letting people know that we're here. So thank you so much for helping us out, and let's get into today's rant. Democratic voters are, well, insane. And apparently they like to put insane people in power. Now, I know that sounds like over-the-top hyperbole, and normally I really don't want to paint with broad brushstrokes like that, but let's consider some things that we're finding out. Dianne Feinstein, apparently at the age of 89, isn't quite as sharp as she used to be. Okay. Earlier this year, when one of her Democratic colleagues suggested that maybe it was time for her to, resign, step down, go off into the sunset and enjoy her twilight years, this individual was referred to by Nancy Botox Pelosi as a sexist, as a fill-in-the-blank phobe. Then we find out that what Nancy Botox Pelosi really wants is Adam Schifferbrains to be able to get Dianne Feinstein's seat in the Senate. Because we know Adam Schifferbrains, who was in the Russian collusion story up to his eyeballs, knew the whole time the thing was a total farce. And now that we have the Durham report, basically completely confirming everything that the rest of us have known for 4 years, and that even Mueller leaked out a little bit, the whole thing was made up. So all those times Adam Schiff went on every Sunday talk show, I've seen the evidence, I've seen the smoking gun, there was collusion, our president was engaged in treasonous behavior with a foreign government, yada, 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 yada. All a lie. All bullhock. He's not in jail. And Nancy Botox Pelosi wants to reward him with Dianne Feinstein's seat. Now, Dianne Feinstein, we find out that for years has not been allowed to wander the hallowed halls of Capitol Hill alone because she gives, well, not cognitive answers to questions. So basically, she has to be chaperoned. And when just recently a reporter asked her how it felt to be back at the Capitol, she bit the reporter's head off and said, "I've been here the whole time." Now, it is sad. She's had a stroke. She is in greatly diminished capacity. But apparently, the Democrats think that because of her quote-unquote age and her sage wisdom, she needs to stay. No, they need the they need the puppet masters behind the puppet to be able to continue to vote and make decisions that aren't really theirs to make because they were not elected by anyone. And therein lies the Democratic strategy. They really don't care who they run as long as they can take orders like a trained seal. And if you can't think at all and you can't really cognitively communicate, you're an even stronger candidate to the Democrats. Can you say John Fetterman?
Thank you, Senators. I'm here for one simple reason. We're here for one simple reason. President Biden needs to consider using the 14th Amendment if necessary. The entire GOP debt ceiling negotiation is a sad charade. And that's exactly what's wrong in Washington. We're playing with the livelihoods of millions just so the GOP can just turn the screws against hungry Americans. This is the whole reason why the 14th Amendment exists. We need to be prepared to be using it. Again, remember, say that again. We must be prepared in order to use it. And we cannot let reckless Republicans hold the economy as a hostage. And an unelected Supreme Court justice will try to blow up our economy. That's on them if they have to judge on that. So, thank you. Thank you, John.
Did he really just read a line in there that was a note to him? Repeat this.
We need to be prepared to be using it. Again, remember, say that again. We must be prepared in order to use it.
Yep, that's just what he did. Great that he can follow decorum and, wear a suit and tie like they're supposed to on Capitol Hill. There he stands in his hoodie, and he's talking about fake candidates? Seriously? He had a stroke. He is absolutely mentally defective and spent over a month in a psychiatric ward following, quote, severe depression. I guess when they put a suit on him, it made him depressed. He can't put his own thoughts together. They have to write them out. And all you have to do is look at the other two senators that are flanking him to know that even they're thinking, oh my God. But this is who the people of Pennsylvania sent to Washington, D.C. to represent them. And this guy's not actually doing any voting. It is the puppet masters behind the curtain that are actually doing the voting. People that you don't know, people that you didn't vote for, and now they are making decisions. One might call that a totalitarian banana republic dictatorship.
Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so.
But the hags over at The View have decided Joe Biden just needs to own his age. It's okay. People love him because he's Joe Biden.
The White House Correspondents' Dinner is this weekend. I think Joe Biden should take the opportunity to show some humor about it. His age is not going to go away. It's an issue. So he needs to take it in stride, and he needs to say, yeah, you know what? I'm old, but I'm not crazy. I'm not divisive. I'm not hateful. I'm not a bigot. I'm not anti-homo.
Yeah, he thinks if he goes on stage and says the word homo, there's going to be a problem from that certain alphabet community that likes to fly rainbow-colored flags. But let's go ahead and take this absolutely just ludicrous statement and let's break it down.
He needs to say, yeah, you know what? I'm old, but I'm not crazy.
Yes, he is crazy. Or, as Inspector Clouseau would say,
yes, we made quite a few changes since you went crazy.
Yes, it's true. He has gone crazy. And even in his sharper moments, back as the VP and as a senator, he was never, ever, under any circumstances, the brightest bulb in the room. He never has been. And he can't give a speech without slurring words and mumbling incoherently, and he can't pronounce names, and he can't call on reporters without a cheat sheet. He can't walk into a room and know what to do without the sheet of paper telling him, shake hands, walk to the third seat, sit down. But he's not crazy.
I'm not divisive.
What? He might be literally, and I didn't think I could say this, the most divisive president we have ever had. He referred to the ultra-MAGA Republicans as an enemy of democracy. Anybody remember his Hitler-esque speech? And dark and red and going after half the country.
Now to the US, and President Joe Biden today addressed the nation. This speech on the American soul was delivered at Independence Hall in Philadelphia, and it was the most divisive, hate-filled and fallacious speech. This is the worst speech I think I've ever heard from a US president. Biden's hate speech perfectly matched the dystopian aesthetic. Far from unifying the country, the president is keen to paint half of America as filled with extremists who want to destroy democracy.
To be a nation of hope and unity and optimism, or a nation of fear, division, and of darkness. MAGA Republicans have made their choice. They embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies.
I am so excited, and I'm looking back at 2022 with such fondness. I thank you for creating that feeling around for everybody.
So how extreme are these MAGA Republicans? If the MAGA Republicans win control of the Congress, it won't matter where you live. These MAGA Republicans won't stop there. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. The MAGA Republicans are destroying America. Many of us are frustrated with the nearly 80 million Americans who are still not vaccinated. This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
So he's not divisive. He is absolutely divisive.
I'm not hateful. I'm not a bigot.
He's not hateful or bigoted. Well, let's see. He loves to take credit for the crime bill. You remember that wonderful bill that incarcerated more black men than any other piece of criminal legislation ever in the history of the United States since slavery. He didn't want his kids growing up and going to school in a racial jungle. So he did everything he could to end any type of desegregation. Even went to members of Congress who were former members of the Ku Klux Klan, and he worked side by side with them. And then had the audacity to go on Charlemagne's radio show and basically say, if you don't vote for Joe Biden, you ain't black.
I spent years writing what became known as the Biden crime bill. The Biden crime bill. The Biden crime bill.
Democrats right now, especially African Americans, have really looked back on the 1994 crime bill not very fondly. Hillary Clinton herself has come out against it, even though her husband signed it into law. Well, the author of that crime bill was Joe Biden.
The Biden crime bill. The Biden crime bill.
Biden's 1994 crime bill, while implementing sweeping gun control, also helped fuel mass incarceration with financial incentives to keep people behind bars.
The Biden crime bill. The Biden crime bill.
The Biden crime bill is before us. Calls for the death penalty for 51 offenses. A wag in the newspaper recently wrote that something to the effect that Biden has made it a death penalty offense for everything but jaywalking.
The Biden crime bill. Biden crime bill.
The Biden Hatch crime bill, as it becomes law, God willing.
I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black. It's a large, very identifiable Somali community. And if you ever come to the train station with me, you'll notice that I have great relationships with them because there's an awful lot who are driving cabs.
You got the first sort of mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice looking guy.
My state has the 8th largest black population in America. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. And Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Have you taken a cognitive test?
No, I haven't taken a test. Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man. That's like saying before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
You also said that they want to put you all back in chains, speaking about Romney and Republicans.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
So, any regrets about the language you used?
Well, I would say those things again. Unlike the African American community, with notable exceptions, the Latino community is an incredibly diverse community. Now, when I mean full diversity, unlike the African American community and many other communities, you're from everywhere. But even Dr. King's assassination did not have the worldwide impact that George Floyd's death did. I guess the best way to answer the question is short amount of time. Why is it that I get overwhelming support from the African American community?
Joe Biden is incredibly racist. constantly making up stories of things that never happened, talking about Corn Pop, that bad dude, and all the black kids in the pool love to rub his legs and watch his hair rise up under the water, after he had sniffed their heads. There is just something beyond creepy about this guy.
I'm not anti-homo, but
I know. He tells a story about, being with his dad and, them seeing two men kiss in 1960. And his father saying to him, "It's okay, Joey, they're in love." Said no father ever in 1960, and I don't care how liberal he might have been. Said no father ever in 1960. Yes, I'm calling BS, and I'm calling Joe Biden a liar. That never happened, period. And he's still, to this day, not quote-unquote pro-gay. He's pro-gay vote, period. I promise you that behind closed doors, and when he has got a cognitive thought rattling around in his head, if the subject of anything gay comes up, based on his track record of what he has said about minorities in public, that he will crack a joke that you're really not supposed to crack anymore, and he probably would use the word homo.
Women by the genitals.
I don't grab women by the genitals.
So I guess we're supposed to believe all women except Tara Reade. Tara Reade, who actually came out and has accused Joe Biden, who when he was a senator, backed her up against a wall, stuck his hand up under her skirt, and grabbed her in the... But only Donald Trump does those things. And Donald Trump didn't even say he did it. He simply said that because of celebrity, when you are around certain females, they will let you. But we don't quote him exactly accurate now, do we? And then, of course, there's that amazing brain trust there on The View. Joy, not a babe heart.
I'd rather have Joe Biden drooling than any Republican. I'd rather have Joe Biden drooling than any Republican.
And there you have it. They would rather have the guy that drools, knowing full well he's not actually making any of the legislative decisions. Other people who we don't know, faces we may never have seen, people who certainly weren't elected. They make the policy decisions. They make the decisions. And Joy Behar was basically saying she would rather have this dictatorial, authoritarian style of governance than a free and open election where maybe, just maybe, a conservative might get elected. Now understand, if a conservative were to get elected, that would mean the majority of the country said, this is what we want. And Joy Behar is telling you that is not what she wants. She does not want the majority of the country to get the government they vote for. She would rather have the drooling, incompetent, incoherent fool, meaning she would rather have the shadow government running everything than a duly elected government. Don't forget that. Democrats are insane. And they want insanity. They love and they thrive on chaos. Why? Because if you ever stop to actually think about and process and reason through what they're doing, in all reality, they should be run out of the country. Every blue state was a disaster during COVID. Every blue city is a deplorable place to live. You heard me, deplorable place to live. Nothing works, garbage in the streets, crack needles, crack heads, crack camps, everywhere the eye can see. And this is a gift from Democrats. And you really want to turn that loose in the White House and on the entire nation?